What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to the Crypto Catch Up. Of course, your number one place to catch up on crypto. Now, guys, we just got some absolutely massive news that you're not going to want to miss. So let's not waste any more time at all. Let's get a feel for what this news is about, and also let's get a look at what the market is doing right now because things are looking rather interesting. Now, starting off over on CoinMarketCap, what we can see here, last 24 hours have been rather ugly, right? A lot of volatility going on. There are rumors right now that the U.S. government may be selling about 10,000, I believe the number was, Bitcoin. It's like $600 million worth of Bitcoin roughly. And so of course that did cause a little shock in the market. We started to see a bit of a pullback, and considering the fact that we are of course still in Bitcoin season, when Bitcoin starts to pull back, that is going to pull the rest of the market with it. But from the grand scheme of things, you know, nothing too crazy going on. If we look at the daily crypto bubbles, what you can see is that sure, we are seeing some L's, right? H&T, not ton, with all these ones looking down a little bit, but realistically the majority of them only 2, 3, 4% losses in the last 24 hours, which here in the world of crypto is not much at all. Now, from a more midterm perspective on the weeklies, we are still rather up. And so what this tells me right now is that we are still in correction mode, right? We are still trying to recover those losses we're putting in on more of a monthly basis. But just in the last day or two, we started to retrace a little bit. And so it's definitely not like the market's crashing. This is just generally a good little correction in this more macro move that we're trying to make as we try to recapture some of these losses that we've been putting in over the last month. So just a little mini correction, which we're in right now. Now, looking at this thing from more of a fundamental perspective, we are still currently sitting at a 29 reading on the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. And what this typically means is that, again, yes, this is a good time to buy. You know, it's not that complicated. And we talk about this every single day. But guys, I mean, if you just look at the history of things, right? We look at the last 1 year, we've only spent 31 days here. And in those 31 days, they have turned out to be some of the best times that you could have purchased within the last 365 days. If you look at the all-time readings, we've only spent less than 40% of this time, or no, sorry, 45%. We spend 31% of the time in fear, 12% in extreme fear. This is not a common thing. And you got to think about how long those bear markets have been. And we spent less than half of the time in fear. And historically, again, look at these times to purchase, like right here. Bottom of the summer lull, getting towards the bottom of the bear market there, the bottom of the bear market there. Those are the best times to be buying. And we're for some reason sitting in that fear zone, almost towards the extreme fear. We're about halfway through fear, headed towards extreme fear, which is so weird. Again, I think it's an overcorrection. Now, to get more of a general feel of where this market could definitely be going, what I would go ahead and say is that we are looking a lot better than we were yesterday. Of course, in yesterday's video, I told you all that we were seeing a lot of liquidations that would happen if this market fell to the downside. So you needed to be on the lookout for a push towards 58, 57,000. But what you can see here is that, you know, things are drying up a bit. Sure, we may go a little lower, right? 57, 56 and a half. But at 55, 54, 53, not much going on down here. And in my opinion, that typically means that we shouldn't see anything too crazy happen. And interestingly enough, we're also not seeing too much happening around the $62,000, $63,000 level. And so generally what this means is that as we start to see a reduction in liquidations from more of an extended outcome, right? So if we push a little further down or a little further up, there's not a ton of liquidations. It usually means that this market should stabilize a little bit. We shouldn't see anything too crazy going on right now. And honestly, I'm okay with that. Now, generally, there are more liquidations that will happen if the market moves upwards back towards 60,000. So it wouldn't shock me if that does happen. But at the end of the day, again, a good healthy balance right now, nothing too crazy. Now, from more of a zoomed out perspective, we are still seeing a substantially higher amount of liquidations that will occur to the upside if, of course, the price does move up for more of a monthly basis. If we look at this from a 30-day liquidation map perspective, you can see there are a ton more liquidations towards the upside. And yes, sure, there are some to the downside, but the volume is much higher towards the upside, around 62,000, around 65,000, around 68,000. And typically that means that, of course, the price should generally move in the direction of the most liquidations, which in this example is upwards. Now, that doesn't mean it's immediately going to do it. It's a more long-term thing. And so overall, considering the fact that we are, again, still in the fear reading, we're still seeing fear in the market, and we are seeing way more liquidations happening to the upside from a macro perspective, it is still my anticipation that this market at some point this year is going to try to push up into these liquidations and, you know, get all these investors out, right? All these people who are shorting the market expecting it to go down, I do expect that they will get liquidated at some given point soon. So of course, take that as you may. Now, there is actually a really cool thing. I never really paid attention to it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. It's called there's a really cool tool that I've been using, Visual Screener. Now, this is pretty damn cool, and I wanted to show you this. And what it allows you to do is it allows you to see, of course, the crypto derivatives, and it tells you what people are doing recently. So let's just go out to the 24-hour, and what it allows you to do is see, like, okay, are more people either entering on shorts, entering in on longs, closing shorts or closing longs. And what's interesting is that right now, way more people are closing their longs and entering on shorts for the majority of your cryptos. You can see so many different cryptos in there, right? You got your WIFs, you got your BBs, you got your listas, your TIAs, your XVGs, your BNTs, your Metas, right? You can see all of these ones in here. And sure, there are some outliers, right? We have phantoms, people entering long, Saga, Mav, ETHFI, Alt, etc. But I thought that this was a really cool tool because we know, right? Typically speaking, the market goes in the opposite direction of what everyone thinks. So when there's a conglomerate of people who are doing one thing, I always expect the market to go in the opposite direction. And what it seems to me is once we got that little correction yesterday, as we were liquidating some of those long traders, what it looks like is people are trying to close those longs and open shorts because they're getting emotional and reactionary. And so because of this actually gives me a little bit more confidence that we could see this market push upwards to start trying to liquidate some of these people as they're trying to chase the market rather than get ahead of the market. And so I thought this was an interesting tool, and I definitely think that it's useful in the sense that you can really get an idea of what people are doing right now. So I definitely think I'm going to add this to the portfolio of tools that we use here on the channel. Let me know down in the comments below. And also, before we get into this massive news, because that's what we're going into next, guys, remember, this is a brand new channel. So if you have been enjoying it, we're only 2 weeks old. We have a goal of 1,000 subscribers by October. Leave me a comment down below if you've been enjoying the content, if you find it valuable, and while you are down there, subscribe, baby. But let's get into the news. So what's the news for the day, Tyler? Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley buy $600 million of Bitcoin ETFs in Q2. Absolutely massive. Absolute. That was a shock. When I saw that, I was like, wow. They went, like, you know, oftentimes when you see these institutions getting in, they'll kind of teeter their way in, right? 5 million, 10 million, 15, just to kind of test their waters a little bit. But jumping in with over $500 million. That's a move. That's a damn move right there. Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley invest more than $600 million in spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds during the second quarter of 2024. The filings, known as 13Fs, provide insights into positions held by institutional investors at the end of each quarter. So remember, at the end of each quarter, you find out they have to tell you after they, I don't know what the exact threshold is, I can't remember, but after they purchase a certain amount, they have to disclose to they have to tell the public, hey, this is how much of what we just bought, right? And that's why the end of these quarters is always so exciting. Now, what you can see here is that the majority of what they purchased it through was through BlackRock, and of course there was a little bit of Fidelity, if I do remember correctly. Fidelity Wise Origin Bitcoin ETF, the Invesco Galaxy Bitcoin ETF, and smaller positions in other Bitcoin ETFs. So they're diversifying across a few of them. Now, Morgan Stanley also favored BlackRock's spot Bitcoin exchange traded fund. Get off my screen. As of June 30th, the investment bank held over 5.5 million shares of the iShares Bitcoin Trust, valued at nearly $188 million, making it one of the top 5 shareholders of the ETF itself. Now, when I've been telling you guys throughout the summer of 2024 that I think that this is a buying opportunity, I've been consistently saying that I think this is a buying opportunity. I think this is a moment in time in which, as the price is starting to dwindle, everyone's getting fearful, everyone's getting scared, everyone's closing their positions, people are screaming this is the top of the market, we're never going to see 90,000, we're never going to see 80 or 100, we're going to put in a macro multi-cycle double top, we're going to do all of these things, they're screaming, and I've been saying, listen, this market has done this before. We have seen summertime look exactly like this. Altcoins fall the exact same amounts, Bitcoin fall the exact same amounts in the middle of bull markets and then still continue upwards. We saw something like this the last bull market. And not only just the last bull market, guys, the last bull market before that. So the last 2 bull markets in a row, we've seen something almost exactly like this happen at the exact same time that this has happened at. And sure, it looks different, right? The formation's a little different. The method in which it moves is a little different. But the feeling, the percentages, the drop overall totals, right? The fear and greed, the RSI overextensions, your Bollinger Bands, your standard deviations, they all look almost exactly the same. And I've been telling you, this happens consistently. And so for everybody who's being spooked by all this bad news, who's feeling like this is the end of the market, you're getting duped because all of these lizard people, aka anyone who, I'm not going to go too deep into that rabbit hole, but again, your lizard people, they're coming in and they're buying up all the Bitcoin as you sell it because you're scared. And in my opinion, if you have these banks and these institutional investors putting in hundreds of millions and billions of dollars into crypto right now, what type of opportunity do you think that they see that this is? These are some of the smartest people in the world, and I say quote unquote smart because they typically are able to manipulate things to work in their favor anyway. That's just how the world works, and most of you know this, right? So sure, they may be considered smart, but being smart is being able to manipulate things to go your way, not necessarily predicting them to go your way correctly. And at the end of the day, again, these are people who are putting in hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. into crypto, specifically into Bitcoin, and even recently into some Ethereum, and a little bit, tiny amount into Solana. What do you think is going to happen? And so this is the reason why my conviction is so high, why I think we're right, why I think dollar cost averaging recently has been one of the best times that we can do it. Because sure, there were better times, but I'm talking about going forward in the last 12 months, in the last 10 months, 8 months. These have been some of the best times that you could dollar cost average. When we bought here on this channel at $49,000, look how that buy is doing right now. When we bought Ethereum low, when we bought Solana here on the channel, I think I told you I was buying at $119.5, right? You see the point. And in moments like this, when we're still seeing from a macro perspective, there's so many liquidations that will happen if this market moves upwards. Who do you think could cause those moves upwards, to cause those liquidations, to cause those retail investors to lose their money, for the whales to come in and the lizard people to come in and scoop up that crypto? The same people. And so because of that, that's why my conviction is so high, and that's why this is such big news. And so, of course, guys, I want to share that with you. And remember, if you have been enjoying this content, getting value from it, learning more and more about these markets, learning more from a fundamental basis, finding out how you can catch up on crypto quickly, learn quickly how you can check in on the market and see how things are going. If you've been getting that value, please do leave a comment down below. It helps so much. And again, while you are down there, drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. But with that in mind, guys, that's the quick catch up for today. A lot of big news and a lot of good things going on behind the scenes, in my opinion. So I am doing some small dollar cost averages as we speak, and we'll continue to update you as it does play out. So of course, make sure that you tune in either tonight or tomorrow for your next catch up on the world of crypto, and I can't wait to see you all then. Peace out, everybody.